Welcome back to another episode of the Elite Investor Show. I'm joined today by Johnny Creamer, local legend, doing a lot of great stuff. Something you mentioned before we even got on camera was like you want to bring awareness to some of the good things that people can do and using real estate as a platform and do it. So hoping to dive into some of that with you today. Yeah. Pretty deep background in real estate. You've done a lot of stuff. You're flipping a ton over in Pinellas County, right?
Yep. Primarily Pinellas. I'm doing one deal in Tampa, JV, but mostly in Pinellas.
So you told me you had 8 deals going on right now. What was the start of real estate like for you?
Oh man, the start of real estate was in 2014. I was 24 years old, just sold my car lot and wanted to do something different. So I got my real estate license and I thought everybody was going to buy a deal from Johnny Creamer or use me as an agent. Got my real estate license and I was just completely wrong. Everybody had somebody who they were closer with, aunt, uncle, friend, put it on Facebook. Hey, I'm a licensed agent. Didn't work. Then I tried to wholesale. So 2015, I was like, all right, I'm going to be a wholesaler.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't do any marketing, didn't do anything. I would just say, let people know I'm a cash buyer, made up business cards, handed them out. Didn't do no business until 2017. Finally got my first deal, but I pushed through. I kept going and I kept going and I kept going.
For 2 years?
2 years.
What did you do in that time for like income?
I'd sold my car lot. So I built a car lot up from when I was about 19 to 23, 24 years old. So we started with one car, man, buying cars. I started at 16 buying cars on the side of the road. Long story before then, but started buying cars on the side of the road. Basically the fix and flip model with cars. It was buying for XYZ. We'd throw a Kano paint on it. We'd have the interior done. I would finance it to my friends for $500 down, double the price basically on what I had into it. And then they would pay me every week.
It's like flipping cars.
And then I had a guy who was a mechanic and he's like, hey, why don't you buy the cars? I fix them up. We team up. We sell them. And then we had some investors who came in. We ended up taking over a car lot and then we built it. We built it to about 150 cars on the road.
So, wow. In like 4 or 5 years.
In 4 or 5 years, yeah. So there was all buy here, pay here. I was working from 6 to 6 every day. My first son was born. I didn't see him. I was over it. I had a guy come in and was like, hey, I'll buy you out for, I think at the time it was like $400,000.
Yeah.
You want to just go? And I'm like, sure, I'm out. Took off, had that money, decided to get into real estate.
Dude, that's so interesting. Like, do you feel that your experience with flipping cars lends itself well to the experience of flipping real estate?
Definitely.
Definitely.
Yeah.
All right. We'll come back to that.
Yeah. Having the vision. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So you got your license. You weathered through 2 years of having your license and your wholesale deals, but you didn't close your first deal till 2017.
2017.
And then what?
A friend of his family called me and said, hey, I have my aunt's house is going into foreclosure. We need to save it. So I go over, look at it, made an offer on it. We were rocking and rolling, ready to go, ready to close, getting all the title work done. Very first deal. Rookie, didn't know what I was doing, had someone hold my hand. Called me and said, hey, we're going to do a reverse mortgage. We're going to save the home. I said, perfect. That's great. I'm happy for you guys. About 3 months later, they call me back and say, hey, auctions next week. We need to sell the house. Go to the house, look at it again. There was another investor in there that I knew locally who was a lot more experienced than me. And he holds a contract up and says, hey, I got the contract. You took too long. I said, oh, crap. Walked outside, had a good talk with him. I originally brought that deal to him 6 months earlier, so he backdoored me. So I said, hey, look, let's just make this fun.
Yeah.
And let me just give you 20 grand on top of what you have it for, and I'll take the deal. He goes, done. So he had it at 190. I gave him 210. I was originally going to give her 200 grand anyways. And we closed on the deal. There's a lot more things that happened that we had to get the deal closed. I had a 3-month post-occupancy. On month 3, I get served papers and I'm being sued.
You're being sued? This is your first deal?
Yes. By the seller for taking advantage, for acting as a foreclosure consultant, which I didn't. Taking advantage, dude, just all these false allegations. I was leaving Indiana visiting my brother and I got a call from the attorney or from the seller. I called her and I said, hey, just making sure you're out. And she goes, you're going to have to talk to my attorney. I got served papers, hired an attorney. Long story short, a year later, we finally got the house. Good thing this was when the market was raising.
Yeah.
And we won in the courts. Cost me about $20,000. We won in court. Judge said, obviously, Mr. Creamer did nothing wrong here. That was that. So we got the house, 210 all in. Sold it for $340,000.
First deal, massive challenge.
Massive challenge, massive profit. We made 130 grand on it.
Yeah. So I always come back to this in real estate investing. I'm sure you'll appreciate this. Is like what you get paid is a function of how massive of a problem you solved. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, for sure.
I think it's easy to say Johnny's out there making all this money.
Oh,
James is out there making a bunch of money, taking advantage of people. But it's like, dude, somebody was kind of like not living up to their word and try to come after you you delivered on what you said you would do.
Gave them moving boxes, bought her a new fridge because her fridge wasn't working, did all kinds of stuff. To top it off, I brought in a private money investor on the deal. Very first deal I ever raised money on. And how does that look on me? I'm being sued. Oh, they probably think this. Well, they actually believed in me, husband and wife, and they still work with me to this day, 8 years.
Look at that.
8 years later, they're
That's awesome.
investing millions of dollars.
Man, that's awesome. So we talked a little bit before we started today about like the challenges that we have early in life and how that shapes us into the entrepreneurs we become. Do you feel like weathering challenges and getting through friction, dealing with problems and overcoming it, like, do you feel like your childhood led to you doing that now as, you know, as a adult, as a business owner?
For sure. Definitely. I think our past as humans in general will shape who we are in the future.
Yeah.
Dealt with some pretty complicating things in my past. It should definitely shape me, and it's prepared me for navigating through difficult times or hard tasks, or be able to look at situations from a different perspective, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. For me, like, I feel like experiences in the military really shaped how I view leadership and working with a team. And so, like, I could talk a little bit about military experience and doing that. What were some of those experiences, if you're open to talking about it specifically, that for you forged you into who you are and how you're doing business today?
Just, losing my mom at 11 years old, my dad going to jail when I was 12, being raised by my sisters at a young age. I feel like that really, I kind of didn't have that up until I was 11. Before I was 11, we had the American dream lifestyle. We had everything you could ever want as a kid. After I lost that, I will never forget the day when Mom passed. I looked at myself in the mirror and I said it wasn't going to break me. Literally, I told myself that, and I still remember the day I looked in the mirror. I said, I won't let this stop me. So it gave me drive to get through. I mean, if I could get through that at 11 years old, 12 years old, 13 years old, 14 years old, what can't I get through?
That's incredible. I mean, I'm sorry for that, that you dealt with that, but it made you.
So if I can get through that, just nothing's going to stop me. And that was my philosophy through everything. Whether it's a difficult deal in 2017 that I was going to deal with, I'm not going to let that stop me. Did it hit me hard? Yes. I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know if I was going to go to jail. I'm like, I didn't do nothing wrong, but am I going to go to jail? Like, I talked to 4 different attorneys and they're like, dude, you did some serious stuff. I'm like, no, I didn't. I didn't do anything. I finally had one attorney was like, look, I know your pain. Don't worry about it. And that's when I was like, okay. But even through all that, it was like, whatever. If I got through that, I'll get to this. If I got through that, I'll get to this. And it's helped me have a open perspective on a lot of things too. Like, I don't know if that necessarily makes sense, but
like controlling your controllables and like not worrying too much outside your controls.
You can only control what you can control.
Yeah.
100%. God's in control. Like, it's literally, and I couldn't control what happened when I was 11, and I couldn't control what happened in 2017. So play the cards you're dealt and just keep pushing forward.
Yeah. You're a guy that you wear your faith on your sleeve a lot, and I really admire that. Let's talk about that a little bit if you're open to it.
Sure.
Like, God is a large part of your business and how you lead your family as well.
Yeah.
I know you're doing a lot to help those who don't have the same opportunities that we have, whether it's giving back to charity or giving your time. I'd love to hear all that you're up to with it.
So I wasn't raised in the church. I wasn't raised to pray at dinner. I wasn't raised to even know God. I was just, we were raised well up to a certain age. I was the youngest of 8. And there was really none of that in our family and anything like that. But I know for a fact I'm here and I've been through certain things. I've been through some things that I shouldn't have even survived in my life, and I'm still here, and there's a reason. And I always ask myself that. I was like, how am I here? How am I here? How am I here? I had a really good friend neighbor who moved into our house, or next door to our house, about a year and a half ago. We became close. He discipled me, and he literally was the reason why I'm closer. Like, I'm close to God to this day. And then I went on the mission trip. This is all new to me too. Like, I know God's been working in my life, my whole life, literally. He's working in everybody's. It's just, when are you going to let him take over your life? And when are you going to accept Jesus in your life and say, hey, he's in control, and then start living that godly life? When I went on the mission trip to El Salvador is when everything changed. Because I went on that mission trip, I got a call from a neighbor that they have to move. I wasn't going to be able to say bye to him, the neighbor who got me close to God. Like, it was my best friend. Literally, we became best friends. Like, I've known him my whole life, I felt like, after just a year. And then I got news that my sister was in the hospital fighting for her life. At the same time, I'm on a mission trip looking at all these people living in these crazy elements. So all these things are hitting me. So there was a lot that happened. It was a big wake up call for me. That was my moment. Literally, it was last year. It was like, you know what? I have a bigger purpose in this world. And I've always asked myself, what's my purpose? Because our purpose isn't here to only make money. We've got to serve. And that was that transition period for me, was when I was building a home, looking over at the little girl in the slums in the mud, laying on her sister's shoulder. Like, it was just, there was so much going on at that time. But that was that transition period for me, was on that mission trip, literally changed my life. And ever since then, I've made some really good connections out there, missionaries that we support, about 6 or 7 of them. Now we're just trying to implement that into our business, show people, hey, this is what we're doing. It's not a lot. It's a little bit, but if everybody can do a little bit, we can really change lives. So I joined the fundraising board of Global Impact Initiative. Glad to be a part of that. Just trying to implement, again, that what can we do for the world? What can we do together? How can we do it? There's a lot of needs out there. We need to do it.
Leave it better than you found it.
100%. Yeah.
Love that. You talked about Seven Figure Foundation a little bit. What's your involvement with?
So I was introduced to Ryan Whitefield a couple years ago. He bought a deal from me. Ended up talking to him on the phone, added him on Facebook, and saw what he was doing on mission trips. And I've always wanted to go on a mission trip. I just didn't know where to start, who to get in contact with. And I asked him, I said, hey, how can I get involved? He sent me a link at the time. And then 2 months before the trip last year, he sent me another link and said, hey, you better sign up. So I had signed up for the trip, never met him face to face until October of last year. Went on the trip, met him, met Jesse Trulio, met just all these people that were absolutely amazing human beings. And they were also part of Seven Figure, or they were people donating their time to come out and be part of it. Yeah. It all started at Seven Figure and then Global Impact Initiative. So I don't have huge involvement there. I actually just joined the fundraising committee. My first call was today. Put content out. I'm just implement that and raising funds for building homes overseas and helping out the initiative more.
Yeah.
Just bring more awareness to people and stuff like that. So there's a lot of creative things that we're going to be doing that really is letting people know what we do. Because I love that's what you tell them.
I love that. It's awesome to see other entrepreneurs like yourself that are just not just winning in their own sphere, kind of like winning in their business, but also collaborating with other people in your ecosystem, here in Tampa Bay area, but then also going even further to help others who are, maybe they're in poverty, maybe they don't have the resources that we had here in the United States. So it's impressive, man.
Needed. It's new to me, to be honest. I mean, I just started doing it. We've been winning. I've been personally, business, we've been doing great since I was selling cars as a kid. When I was 17, 18 years old, I was doing good. I was selling cars. And my whole philosophy growing up, and I'm, shamefully say it, everything was about money when I was growing up. It was. I wish money was going to get me out of situations. Money was going to do this. Money was going to do that. If I made money is all I knew was hey, I need to make money. That's all I'm worried about is money. And it just wasn't feeding me. It was fueling me to get me going, but it wasn't feeding me. So I was like this little twig that was making money, but I wasn't getting fat. I figured out what my purpose was, and I realized, money it'll fuel you, it'll get you going, but it's not going to feed you. And what are you doing with it, right? We can make money, but are we actually taking our money and giving back and helping others and supporting others? We help out 6 or 7 of the missionaries and support them every month because they give back all their time. They're not making money. They're giving their time and then raising. So once I let go of that, man, and said, you know what, I need to find out what drives me, really drives me. And it was, all this is new. And this is just the beginning. That's the exciting thing, is this is just the start. Yeah. I can't wait to see what all this turns into. And it's going to be so good. And we're just going to grow it so much and just collabing with everybody, and very exciting. It's exciting. It's so exciting.
Eager anticipation, man. You seem excited about it.
I'm so happy.
That's great. Man, that's awesome. You mentioned a book that you're working on. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I've always wanted to write a book about my upbringing, my childhood, how I've, took my past and not let it break me, but let it, push me forward and get through obstacles. I started journaling probably 5 years ago, and I can't say I journal once a month even. It was every few months I would just journal, and basically write my life down on paper, on what I went through and what I saw and what I felt and all these things. And I always knew I wanted to write a book. when I started journaling, I was like, one day I'm going to write a book. It's going to be out in 15 years. So now I'm actually putting it into action. I've got somebody who's helping me write it. The goal is to have it out by the end of the year. It's going to be an action book, like take action book.
Yeah.
So each chapter is basically going to be like a time frame in my life. And then at the end of it, I'm going to basically explain how I got through that and what tools I use personally, like emotions and stuff like that. And then it's going to have challenges for the person who's reading it.
That's cool.
So it's going to be like a challenge book. It's not going to be, so I want to do something like that. Basically simple, like it's not going to be a crazy long read, but it's going to be like just a challenge. Okay, I challenge you. If if you're facing adversity, if you're going through tough times, read this book and just use it as fuel.
I like that.
We're still working things out. It's not all in, all the pieces aren't together right now, obviously, but I am writing a book. I will write a book. I will publish a book, and it will be out there by the end of this year for sure.
Willing it into existence.
It will.
Cool. You talked a little bit about collaboration. Can you give us like an overview of kind of what deal structures you guys are doing now? I think mostly flips and some wholesales, but then also maybe like your team structure, how that looks.
So team structure I'm, as you know, we've had many conversations about it. I'm spinning my wheels right now. I'm a hustler, and I can say that. I love to hustle. I can get things done.
Yeah, no question there.
I've kind of, the hardest thing in business, I think, and I hear it from a lot of business owners, just letting go, and I'm still at that point. I've not let go. I'm kind of wanting to be in control, which I'm slowly giving the control away. But right now I've got crews. I've got crews that we sub everything out to. We have nobody on the books. I got one guy on the books who works full time. But I've got crews, and I found that something that works out really well. So I've got 4 different crews through your group. I met Raphael and Matan.
Great guys.
So I recently posted on Facebook, I need a 5th crew, and they reached out. And they said, and this is why collaboration is so big and why joining communities like yours, I think, is very important. And going to the events, I actually met Raphael personally at another event. But being part of your group has actually put me in contact with Matan and just kind of kept everybody in front of each other.
Yeah.
Through the chats and all that. But I posted and I said I needed a 5th crew, and they've reached out. And they said, we see what you're doing. We love what you're doing. We see you have experience. We don't have that experience that you have. We want to learn. And I said, great. They said, we have a good crew, and we need to keep them busy.
This is it
We
right here.
cannot keep them busy.
Yeah.
You can keep them busy. They said, we're going to give you our crew, but we want you to let us manage your projects. And we're not going to take any money. And I told them, I said, you can charge whatever you want to charge. If it makes sense for me, I'll pay it. But if it doesn't make sense for me, then I won't pay, and I'll tell you where our budget is on things.
Yeah.
So we came to an agreement, and basically they are managing one project to start right now, which their crew is absolutely knocking it out of the park. Came to an agreement on pricing. I don't know if they're working something in there for them, but I think what they're more or less concerned about is getting the experience, figuring it out, because you can tell they are not as experienced as, if I were to hire a project manager, I'd want someone who has experience.
Yeah.
But I don't mind teaching them my ways and then allowing them to learn. It's a win-win for everybody.
Dude, it's the best kind of collaboration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of showing them the materials we do, the shortcuts we do to make things go easier. They're learning fast. It's working out for me. We're building that relationship, and who knows, it might turn into a really good JV that we can do on multiple deals, or maybe they can start managing projects. We'll see where it goes, but I think the first step is starting.
The first step is starting.
Yeah. I mean, it is. You have to start.
We'll be back to the show in 1 second. On schedule, on budget, and quality service. Those are all 3 critical factors that we look for in any trade that we work with, and they're the reason we like to align with CXR Solutions for anything contracting, plumbing, or mold remediation related. We love working with them, and we want you to be able to work with them too. Check them out in the description below.
The reason I kind of harp on that is because I see a lot of entrepreneurs, they have this, entrepreneurs at the beginning of their journey, maybe they were W-2 and they're making the transition, or maybe they were, just fresh out of college, like I want to run my own business. And there's this concept I see with entrepreneurs sometimes where they have this belief that they have to have a perfect plan. And like, I'm not going to start. So I'm not going to begin what I want to get into because I have to feel like I'm starting perfect.
I see it all.
And I think you see it all the time. So you just like, there's this feeling that they have to start perfect instead of just starting.
Yeah.
And if you start, there is such thing as good enough. And if you get that momentum rolling, you'll learn the lessons along the way. Instead of starting perfect, a week later, everything changed because it wasn't actually perfect. It was just this misconception at the time.
Yeah. I locked in my first deal and then had the money. I had money from when I sold my car lot.
Yeah.
but I didn't. I ended up investing that into another business. We won't talk about that right now. But I had it all tied up at the time. So I didn't have the money at the time when I locked up that contract. But
The
I didn't
first one,
care.
or
I
2017.
didn't care.
Yeah.
Because I knew I was going to find the money.
A good deal always finds the money.
That's exactly what I tell people when people are like, oh, I don't know where to find money. I don't have the money. I said, lock up a contract. The money will come. Just lock up a good deal.
Yeah.
That's what I think a lot of people lack is that first step is going, hey, they're worried about where they're going to find the money. And then they get distracted by the world. And then before they know it, because if you run around saying, hey, you want to lend me money? You want to, I mean, what are people? Okay, bring me a deal. Find a deal. Show me the deal. You'll have nothing to present. So I think it's important to find the deal, then find the money. The money will come. That's why I tell people, like, don't worry about the money. You find a good deal, bring it to me. I'll link money on it. Like,
Yeah.
the deal's good enough.
Yeah. Johnny, you mentioned you have 8 deals right now, 7 in St. Pete area, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then 1 in Tampa. All of them are flips?
So I've got 7 active flips going. Yes. I have 1 in Tampa that we just did with a JV partner. Somebody had brought a deal to the table. They needed the funds for it. They had the deal. It was a no-brainer. It was a 100K spread on it. So we ended up raising the funds for it, bringing the money to the table, the gap funds, and sold it as is. They wanted to remodel it. And I was like, why?
Yeah.
If we remodel, if you put 50 in it, you're going to get the same as if we sell it as is.
Yeah. So just beat up that time.
Oh yeah, there's no reason to remodel a house if you're there's no reason, none at all, 0. And you're like, well, I want the experience. So well, you can get the experience on the next one. But if I'm coming in on this, we're going to list it as is. So yeah, so that one in Tampa was just a flip. I have one actually I JV'd on with Ryan Whitefield, $740K purchase price, 1.4 million ARV. That'll be fun. Yeah, I didn't want to deal with it at all. So I asked Ryan if he wanted to handle that one, and he was in on it. He does the higher end stuff.
Yeah.
I don't. So I'm completely hands off on that.
That's cool.
And then the other ones I've got 3 in Seminole. I've got 2 in St. Pete. I've got 1 in Pinellas Park. 2 in Pinellas Park. Yeah. So I think 6 actively going. The 1, something like that. And then we have a hotel that we did. I guess you call it hotel even when you take it down when you're old capital.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess. So I've got, honestly, if I don't have time to get to them, I list them as is. Normally I'll give a week, list them a week, see what happens. If they sell, great. If they don't, we'll pull them. Or if we can't get to them for 2 weeks, we let them sit for 2 weeks. But we're so busy right now that we can do that and we can hold off on that because our other projects are keeping us busy.
Do you use your own license to list?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Where do you, are you at a specific brokerage?
Yep. Jay Allen in St. Pete.
Okay.
Jay Allen Real Estate, Jason Picks, broker there, owner broker. So I hang my license there. Super laid back, super cool, very chill. Got a TC who handles all my back end stuff for the most part. She also handles other things other than our real estate deals. She'll handle mortgages, notes, preparing docs, all that stuff. So that's helpful. An a la carte menu for her that she charges per doc and stuff like that. But yeah, hang my license at Jay Allen.
What kind of challenges, if somebody's maybe at the point they're doing like 1, 2, 3 flips at a time, you have 8 projects going on right now. What kind of challenges can somebody expect when they get to this kind of level?
Implementing systems and delegating as much as you can that you're not required to do at the end of the day. I'm still doing it. So if I can give somebody one word of advice, it's starting those systems on day one and understanding that you have to implement those systems because I didn't realize I didn't realize the have to. Like I understood I needed to one day.
Yeah.
But if I understood on day one, when I started flipping 5 years ago, I mean, even longer than that, but really flipping was about 4 years ago, getting into high volume. I didn't realize I had to at the time. I was like, I knew I needed to, but changing that to like, I have to implement systems right now. Even though I'm only doing one project, we need to implement systems on this one project. So in 5 years later, when we're doing 50 a year, we already implemented them on day one. So I didn't ever have anybody who was like, implement systems.
Yeah.
Now I'm seeing it in real time, and you were probably the hardest one on me about it, even though we only talked a few times. Yeah, like keeping it straight and going, look, dude, you're doing a disservice to you, to your family, by not implementing systems.
Yeah.
So now I know I have to, and I'm not saying it's too late because it's definitely not. I'm slowly doing it, but it's definitely an issue now because I've got all this going on, and I'm stuck in my ways, and I'm like, I'm so busy running my business that it's hard to focus on implementing the systems.
Yeah.
So you only got one flip going on. You can focus on implementing systems and going, hey, system. So that's kind of where I'm at now. Something as simple as walking the project your first time doing video in your project. One thing I do now is I walk a project and I take a whole materials list. Yes, I walk my projects.
Yeah. But
There's day one.
some might say that's a good process because you're mitigating risk because you have the most experience. Yeah.
So I walk my project day one and I take a whole materials list of everything we need. Door handles, doorknobs, kitchen handles, appliances, whatever it is. I take a whole list of that, and then that goes over to somebody in office that now knows where we order them from. So Amazon, these items are ordered on Amazon, and that's all ordered right to the house. And I walk it with a contractor, or if I can't walk it with a contractor, I do a video of each item. I'll do a slow video of the house. That'll go to an album in my phone, 123 Main Street. And then I also have each contractor, okay, hey, electrician, we're doing this. All right, AC guy, we're doing this. And then general laborers that are doing, whatever it is. Those things kind of make it easy. I don't do that on every one. Some of them I'm working backwards, but those are problems that I'm dealing with now because I didn't implement this system day one.
Yeah.
So I'm like slowly teaching myself right now, hey, it's better to do it this way.
Yeah. What are some other examples of systems, like for somebody who's newer to the game, that they may consider, or even just like a checklist or process?
The videos is huge, doing videos. And therefore, you can go back and see everything that's going on. Like you do a video of a property and be like, oh, was there a light in this area?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, one light here. So we got to order that.
Yeah.
Just doing a quick video so you don't have to go back to the property and be like, oh, I forgot to do this. So now you have that in your tool belt. Your materials list from day one, have that going.
We had one to get a listing prepped. So like everything from a pre-listing inspection to like the timeline to get get the staging, then the photos, then the description. So like I find that it's really helpful for us so that we can stay on schedule. If you only have a week to get a listing ready, it might be one of our own projects we're getting ready to identify the target date in mind. The listing date is on a Thursday on this date. You can plan backwards from there by backing up all these timelines. I've found that like really codifying each step in that process, it helps prevent missteps, because if you miss the staging day, then that pushes everything right to the listing week later.
Yeah, exactly. But they can't stage tomorrow. If it's stage Wednesday, they can't stage the following Tuesday. I fall into that all the time.
Yeah.
What I've done was I bought myself a few days now because I'm a person who's like, boom, 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 boom. Johnny, slow down. You want everything done so fast. That's like the statement I get from all my people.
Yeah.
It's not that I want to slow down. I'm trying to keep things rolling.
Yeah.
But so that's how I am. So I found that an issue with cleaning done by Wednesday. We're staging on Thursday. Pictures are done at 4 p.m. on Thursday. Stagers are out at 3:30. Literally, I've had my photo guy show up and he's like, hey, stagers are still there. I'm like, 10 more minutes. Bill me a little extra. But so I've actually bought myself some days. So if I'm like, all right, cleaning's going to be done next Wednesday, let's stage Monday just in case. Because my cleaner also is my punch out lady. So she will send video. She will send pictures. Oh, this is done. And then all that goes right to whoever's doing the punch out. It works out. It actually does. I know it's a little different, but.
This is so good. So if you're a newer investor and you're watching, time kills all deals. Time kills all deals, including your own. And so if you're not on top of it, getting to the next step and holding people accountable and having some kind of process, it doesn't have to be a perfect process or system, but it has to be something, then you're really going to struggle, especially in those first early deals.
Done is better than perfect.
Yeah.
To get it done, perfect it later. But get it done because time definitely is going to eat up your profits. It's going to eat up. This market time is against us right now.
Yeah. So you talked about your first deal in 2017. We talked about you're doing 8 deals now on a partnership, helping raise capital for yourself and for others. Was your second deal better than your first one?
Oh, second deal. Okay. So my first deal was it was called a wholesale after that 1 year because we just listed as is. And I actually had my license at the time, but I wasn't comfortable listing the house. I don't know why, but it was my very first listing also. So I asked somebody I knew, I was like, hey, can you just list it for me and deal with all this? Because I don't want to deal with it.
Yeah.
Second deal was a mobile home on its own land.
Okay.
I had the guy bring me a deal and he's like, hey, you interested in buying a mobile home? I'm like, why would I buy a mobile home? Literally, that was my first thought. And then I looked at it and I said, wait a minute, you own the land. It was for $34,000 on the land. So I said, all right, let me look at it. Go walk it. I said, you know what? I'll take it. Bought it. Reached out to the same private lender who lent me money on the first deal. Hey, I've got this mobile home. It's worth about 75, 80,000. All I need was 50 out of it because I was going to have them lend me the purchase plus 10 grand to get it rent ready. They lent me 50 grand on it, interest only payment. So it kept my payment around $400 a month. So bought it, rehabbed it, rented it for $1,200 a month at the time. So I had on my first mobile home, I had a cash on cash return of infinite because I actually had a couple extra $1,000 in my pocket after I only put like 10 grand into it.
That's also infinite.
And then I paid them every month. So I rented it out for $1,200, taxes and insurance. I actually didn't have insurance on these mobile homes. So forget about insurance at the time. Taxes on it were like $800 a year at the time. So you're talking about $417 exactly a month. Let's say $500 with interest payment. So I'm cash flowing $700 a month.
Yeah.
For nothing. That's all to me.
Yeah.
So I said, wow, what if I could do this and keep doing this? Meanwhile, I'm doing the demo on this.
Yeah.
I'm demoing it because that's what we do on our first deal, right? We can go sling a hammer, I guess.
Yeah.
I have a neighbor come over to me and say, hey, I just want to let you know that this one is going to be for sale as well. And at the time, I was like, great. Let me know whenever somebody shows up so I can meet somebody or whatever. I was a talker, but I didn't, whatever. So he calls me. It was like 2 days later. He calls me and says, hey, somebody's at the house. So I stopped what I was doing. Kid in the car, went over to the house. It was an agent. Still do business with her to this day. She said, yep, we want to sell it. We'll take 60 grand. This was a double wide in much better shape. Hey, pride the money back. I've got another one, but I need 70 on this one. Same thing. So at the time I was new. I wanted to figure out how I could find mobile homes on their own land. So what I did was I reached out to a guy who was doing skip tracing and all that, and I had no experience doing it. And he's like, there's no way to find mobile homes only on their own land because it's going to bring up parks and all this. And I was like, all right, let me figure it out. So I YouTube list source, monkey something. There was a monkey something that you would take the list from list source and you'd give it to whatever, some monkey website, and it would give you all the phone numbers. So I had 2,900 mobile homes on their own land this was 2017, 2018, at my dinner table. And I'm like, all right, so I have all these phone numbers. So I went by each one and called every single one. Out of that list, so if they didn't answer, I would send them a little note. Hi, my name is John. Me and my wife are buying mobile homes in the area. We would love to buy yours.
A text or handwritten?
Handwritten, ugly, super ugly, right?
You actually wrote it yourself?
Every single one.
How many of them were there?
3,000. But I didn't write every single 3,000. It was only who didn't answer. So I got on the phone with people, and there was people who were like, no, go F yourself. Oh, do this or whatever. There were some who would say, oh, I'm not ready to sell now, but I'll save your number. Out of that list at the time, I bought, I think, 10 my first year off that list. Second year, I bought 10 more. So 2018, 10, 2019, 10. So by the time, but 2020, I had 35 mobile homes, something like that.
Man,
Off that list.
You got after it.
Oh, yeah. And then we were door knocking. And then we'd have tenants who would tell us about the neighbor.
Yeah.
Hey, Johnny, I know you're buying mobile homes. The neighbor's moving out. All right, well, if you give me their information, we'll figure something out. So the word spread in the neighborhood of these 8 blocks of mobile homes on their own land that John's buying mobile homes. And then I'd have people call me and say, hey, I saved your number. I'm ready to sell. So now I created these inbound leads. And we've created these conversations, and I did it naturally with my kids in background crying. Like it was like we're just mom and pop, and we were.
Yeah.
So we bought 40. I think we're up to 40. We had 40 mobile homes in 2021, 2022. We had 40 mobile homes and about 6 or 7 houses at the time. But we were generating $35,000 a month cash flow off those mobile homes. But we rode the wave of the increasing market.
Yeah.
So my philosophy was, and we never paid over 50 grand for each mobile home. So
Man, you guys are so creative with that. You just made it happen.
yeah, and the hard money, and these guys financed every single one, 40,000.
The same folks each time?
We had a few different ones, but for the most part, yes, I did.
And that was the same original investor.
Yes.
Man, good for you.
And they originally, their retirement was supposed to be 15 years, and they retired in 5 years. Okay.
Because they're working with
They
you?
were working with us for 5 or 6 years because they were able to generate.
That's like,
Yeah, so they cut it down. They had an offer from their job and stuff like that. I don't exactly know the timelines and dates, but they retired early because I remember them calling me and say, hey, we're generating enough money off your interest on the funds we lend you that we're able to retire early. And that was like, in that moment, I'm like, what an incredible business model. Like, I was like, seriously? Like, this is crazy.
And you made it happen.
And then we had other little, my pool guy loaned me money one time. He's like, hey, see what you're doing. Can I loan you money? He loaned me 50 grand. My pool guy, the guy who cleans my pool every day.
Dude, you're like one of the best I've seen at just dropping these little gems of like low key marketing. You're not putting too much out there where it's like, work with me. Come on, we have an opportunity. It's
I
like,
want to press people.
yeah,
I just basically show up, right? I just show up. You can see what I do. And that's basically, honestly, that's, hey, I want to introduce you to this person. That's how my whole life has been. It's just like, talk to people everywhere you go. My wife used to get mad at me about that. Like, we're at a restaurant. She's like, oh, you're doing it for reaching over. Like, we're at literally at a restaurant. To this day, I still do it. It's just my natural gab I have. She'll see me. I look over. She goes, don't do it, John. Like, they're talking about real estate. Gotta talk.
yeah.
Before you know, we're doing a deal. I was at sushi one night. Guy was talking about, I swear, this guy was talking about multifamily. And I'm like, he's talking about investing. And he's like, I loan money at 8%. I'm like, what? 8%?
Yeah.
And I'm like, so how you doing? And we exchanged numbers. He added me on Facebook, and he's loaned me on 10 deals. And this was 4 months ago I met this guy. Yeah. And I didn't ask him to loan me money by any means. I was like, add me on Facebook. I want you to see what I do. I would love to do business with you one day.
Yeah.
And then on Facebook, hey, anybody interested in investing in one of our deals? And he reached out to me.
Yeah.
It's kind of just like, but we only have 6 rentals now.
That's what I was going to ask. So what was that decision point to start selling them?
So I joined Advisors Council, Lee Kearney, in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
First mastermind I ever joined. I said, I want to join something. So I reached out to Alex Otwell. Never met him. It was on Facebook. I just saw what he was doing in real estate. He used to do a ton of wholesale, and these guys are killing it. I'm like, I need to be involved with these guys. Like, I'm low key doing great.
Yeah.
But nobody knows what I do because I'm not involved with these groups. So I need a network. And I joined Advisors Council in 2021. And I had, at the time, I was generating $50,000 total or something like that in cash flow a month. I had all these houses. And I did this spreadsheet, this little, it was back for the napkin spreadsheet that I did. And I showed it to Lee. And I said, what would you do here? Well, I asked him, what would he do in my situation? He said, give me all your rental income, break everything down, and I want to see your equity in what you have.
Yeah.
And I broke it all down. I was making crazy cash on cash. What I never thought about was, yes, I'm making all this cash on cash, but what's my cash on equity?
Yeah, return on equity. Yeah.
It was like 5%.
Yeah.
So he said, what are you doing?
Yep.
He said, you need to just dump all that. He said, you're renting out 10 cans. I'm renting out 10 cans. And the value is going to drop. 2022 was the peak of our market. In April 2022, I think, is when we peaked. And I sold them all, basically, but 5.
Just kind of fortuitous timing. Looking back, we see that was great, but you couldn't have predicted the future.
No, and the mobile homes dropped in value.
Yeah.
100%. 2021, 2022 was my peak. I had one I sold at 170. It wouldn't sell for 110 now.
Really? That same one that sold at 170 would not sell for 110 now?
I might be lucky if I got 110.
Over what duration did you sell? How many was it? 50 units?
It was a total of like 35, 40 in 3 years. Yeah. So I had some pretty, like, paid a lot of capital gains, but it was okay. Yeah. As I took that, we started doing private money lending.
Yeah.
Then we started investing in our own deals. But the thing was, we were making 5% cash from equity. It just didn't make sense to keep going.
Yeah. I mean, even if you lend it at the same rate that you probably borrow at 8%, you're now making more.
Yep. I said, if I could lend at 8%, I was making more money.
Yeah.
If I could take all the money and lend at 8, but I lent it at 12.
Yeah. You're involved in like a trucking thing too, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So we have semi trucks that we lease. We have a company who runs them. Carriers run them. And it's basically like a profit share that we do.
So when you say you lease them from the owner, or you are the owner, you lease them out?
No, we lease them from owner.
Yeah. Leasing
company. And then they deal with everything. We're just basically silent partners on them.
Yeah.
Cool. So that's very lucrative. We love that. Oil and gas, invested in production now, and all kinds of stuff. I think we're investing in like 7 or 8 different companies now.
Wow. Like a lot of alternative stuff.
All different stuff. And it's just like, I'm a firm believer. Got to diversify.
Yeah.
I think it's important to diversify. And everything, they might not all be home runs. All it takes is one.
Yeah.
To take off. So.
I love your approach to stuff, man. Just really authentic. You gotta be. Yeah.
But real is the only way to keep it. I tell people that all the time. It might not always. I'm a very nice person, but I keep it real. So.
Yeah. Any parting thoughts for how people can best work with you in the Tampa area, or maybe somebody who's early in their real estate career and they're just looking for a tip that you might have?
Early in your real estate career, talk to people everywhere you go. No one's going to know what you do unless you open your mouth. God gave you a mouth to use it. So make sure you're talking to everybody everywhere you go and whatever you do. If you want to work with me, I actually just bought the domain name JohnnyCreamer.com. So it's JOHNNY Creamer, like coffeecreamer.com. We do a lot of mission work. You can invest in our deals. But if you want to get involved in what we do, add me on Facebook. You can see what we do and would love for you to be a part of what we're doing.
Cool, man. Thanks for being on the show. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
This is awesome.
Thank you.